Okay, I love the artist Banksy. He's very unique. And like Banksy, we think we have a very unique story to tell here in the South Branch of the French Creek. So this is our cluster, and this box shows you in a somewhat distorted fashion the watershed of the South Branch of the French Creek. It happens to be our largest focal area in this coming 3-year period. One of the things you'll notice is it's really long and narrow. And this is a satellite imagery. It shows you the mix of ag and woodlands, which are the dominant land uses. But over in that red box, that's the upper end of the watershed. The water flows left to right, west to east, and there's a lot of development there. This is an aerial photo of the lower reaches of the watershed, which shows you this matrix of forest, farm, pastures. It's very complex, but it's mostly undeveloped. Now, it's undeveloped. But back in the 17 and 1800s, this was an industrial landscape where there was charcoal clearing, mills, dams, furnaces. Every mill was basically an industrial facility. This is actually Warwick Furnace, and we're going to come back to this property a little bit later in the presentation. Today, that industry is long gone, and we now have an exceptional value stream, and we host a lot of species of concern. This is the wood turtle, which is very hard to find. It's closely related to the bog turtle and uses the same kind of tussock sedge habitat. We also have freshwater mussels. This is the eastern elliptio. I hope I pronounced that right. Now these critters require clean water, and they're very hard to reintroduce if they're extirpated. In fact, globally, freshwater mussels have lost about 1/3 of all species, so it's a very rare animal. Land conservation status. So the red box is the more developed portion, and you can see on the right a much larger portion. And look at all those shaded areas represent lands that have been conserved, and you can see it's quite a block of conserved land in the downstream part of the watershed. Water sampling points, we're working from west to east. So the first one on the far left actually captures the more polluted waters of the upper parts of the watershed, and then the other 4 show the water cleaning up as we go. And this is our big story. It gets cleaner as it goes. This is a graph of land use. So the far side from me is the upper parts of the watershed, and then as you get downstream, you can see the green layer, which is forest, becomes a much larger percentage of the overall land cover. Okay, same thing from west to east. These lines are going down, and these are pollutants. So one is phosphorus, and the other is conductivity. So as the small tribs come in further down off those conserved lands, the water is actually getting cleaner and cleaner as we go downstream. And this is our big story, that conserved land can make a stream cleaner and attenuate pollution. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about our biggest land deal that we did in the last 3 years. Warwick Furnace Farm, we closed at the end of 2015. You're going to see a blow up next. It's right in the heart of that conserved area. Okay, this is the blow up, and again you see this matrix of forest, farm, field, pasture. There's a lot of wetland. The stream goes through the middle, more or less. There's also 12 first-order tributaries that flow off the land into the main trib, or into the main branch. They're not shown because they don't get picked up in the air photo. This is a blow-up of the lower right-hand side of that last map. This is the Thomas P. Bentley Nature Preserve, which French and Pickering now owns and manages. All that light-colored area along the stream is wet meadow and wetlands. So it's a nice habitat. And then we have some farm fields that I will show you what we're going to do next. So these are our kind of management options going forward to do some riparian buffer potential on the stream itself, including in that open area, to preserve the tussock sedge, which is possibly bog turtle habitat as is. And then the old farm fields on the south end are going to be restored to forest and grasslands. We also have a dirt stone road, which is a big source of pollution. We identified this very early on in the last 3 years. And the next image will show you what happens in a rainstorm. So there's a lot of sediment coming off this road every time it rains. And back where that red oval is where it collects. There's a little low spot. And I've been through there when there's 12 inches of sediment after a storm. Sits there, and then it washes into the stream. And just downstream of that bridge, you can see the sediment build up on the bottom of the water. So I'm going to let you read that. So finally, something really important. So who's going to do an Eagles cheer with me? E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!